It would be fair to say that Cobra Commander is a world-class fool.
Cobra Commander is every bit as much an expression of the overall visual style of a line or series of G.I. Joe figures as Snake Eyes is. He is simply that iconic. When it comes to G.I. Joe, there's hardly any other character more recognizable than the fearsome blank visage of Cobra Commander himself. Whether you believe that he was once a man or a used car salesman, it doesn't matter, because Cobra Commander brings with him endless possibilities, and now it's time to see how the G.I. Joe classified 6-inch Cobra Commander lives up or doesn't live up to that special legacy. So, without further ado, let's have a look at Cobra Commander. First off, we will look at Cobra Commander's packaging. Cobra Commander is figure number 6. There really isn't too much going on here. There's some pretty cool kind of animated looking artwork. And on the side, we have a little bit more. Really nice stuff. I really like the direction they took for this art. One thing that is a little off is that you can see that the artwork reflects the original paint scheme that they were going to go with for Cobra Commander. And if you remember the whole debacle where people weren't really sure which version was supposed to be coming out, and I don't think Hasbro was even sure, and people thought that the other one was coming out. Finally, of course, there's a pre-order for that, and they're calling it the Regal variant of Cobra Commander. But enough about that, because this is the version that Hasbro eventually settled on. You can see it's a little different with a little bit of a darker kind of navy look to it, and there's a lot of silver highlights instead of just straight up gold. So let's take a look at the actual figure itself. In terms of sculpting, we'll start at the top of the figure with the helmet. Now, I don't know about you, but with the ridge on the top of the helmet and just the overall shape that that creates with a little bit of kind of the widow's peak right there, I think that this is a dead ringer for the Resolute Cobra Commander figure and helmet. And I think that that was one of their main inspirations here when you look at the actual sculpt. That was a really, really good choice, because I've always felt that it was the Resolute Cobra Commander that found a way to kind of give that original cartoon design a little bit more dignity, a little bit more of a grounded look. You can see that detail just continues all the way through. And there's so many impressive little things that are happening here with this head sculpt. For one, there's actual clasps on the helmet, as if that these are the points that Cobra Commander would actually have to unclasp to remove it. And that is awesome. There's also little ridges sculpted into the helmet, as if there is a harder layer on the inside and this is more decorative on the outside. You can also see that there is that, of course, classic divide where it comes to a sharp point on the blank silver face mask. And there's even great silver detailing that goes all the way around the bottom rim of the helmet. Not really sure what's happening here. I don't know if that's some kind of defect or what, but it's kind of a weird little bump or something at the bottom of it. And like I said earlier, that ridge goes all the way through. So not only is there a lot of cool sculpting, but a lot of unexpected paint details happening here as well. Any enterprising customizers out there, I'm sure that this helmet could be removed. That's about as much as I can see back there. And the chin is pretty well hollow on it to allow for more articulation. Moving on to the shoulders, you know, really overall, this might be one of the most sculpt-intensive figures that they've done in the line so far in its brief life, because there's just so much going on here. There's this cool collar that they have that you can barely see because of the helmet. And on the shoulders, there's more of like a snakeskin kind of armor. And I suppose that this is probably the most untraditional element of the actual sculpt, that there's all this kind of snakeskin detailing up there. And I gotta say, I think it really works super well. I love that this is on here, and it just gives it kind of more of the, I don't know, it's almost like a Serpentor look in a way, since Serpentor was covered in scales. I like that it kind of harkens back to the whole snake motif, and they found a really creative and clever way to bring that in. And I might as well talk about this harness here. Basically, this is a rubber overlay. I've seen people remove it. I'm not real keen to remove this. I'm sure you could. A little bit of heat and taking a few things off here and there, I'm sure it comes right off. But it is very, very neat. I do like the rubber overlay piece. I think it's really well sculpted. There's a cool cape back here, and I love the red lining on this thing. It looks especially terrific if you don't hide it back there and instead kind of pose it off to the side. And it's kind of a Napoleon sort of look if you look at some of those old paintings. But if you want to get this out of the way, we can just pop that head right off. We know the heads are all interchangeable and come right off and classified. And you can actually just take this and kind of pull it up slightly, and you can bend that peg back, and you can just get this part off. Then I'm sure it wouldn't be very difficult to work the rest of it off. Popping his head back on, we can see that he's got this cool kind of emphasized shoulder pad. And there's kind of more of a snakeskin chainmail going on right here. And I love that there's some gold that helps break up this silver. One change that I probably would have made in terms of paint selection is I actually would have left this part gold. And I might have made the Cobra symbol like red or silver. I think it's a little bit too much silver right here, and I think he could have benefited from some gold, just a little bit right there, because you have the head stripe and the mask, and it's just kind of overwhelming. Break it up a little with something there. The rest of the overlay is just kind of this really detailed Cobra symbol. It's amazing how many details they've been able to get into this. I think digital sculpting has come quite a ways. There's even a little bit of a texture on that. There's a chain that actually works its way down to the scabbard here. The scabbard itself has that snakeskin pattern that we saw on other parts of the figure. And then, like I said, we have the cape, and that's all there is to the harness back here. So just a great touch. I think that it makes Cobra Commander himself much more imposing, kind of gives him a little bit more bulk. So I do think that it's definitely worth it that they put that back there. Looking at the actual chest sculpt itself, you can see that we have kind of a chain, almost like you would see on a cape. And this is a piece that they have plugged in here. So it's just kind of laying over the rest of the figure. Beautiful red Cobra symbol. Absolutely love the sculpt they've done on that. Got these gold buttons, silver trim right around this front kind of piece. And then down here, it's all buttoned up. You can see that if you get that out of the way, you can see more of those details. And then we have the snakeskin that continues kind of the skirt portion, I guess. Very cool, very decorative. I like this back here, how it almost comes to fangs that are on the Cobra symbol. So there's been nothing overlooked here for opportunities for them to continue that Cobra motif, the snake motif. It is truly a very ornate Cobra Commander figure with all sorts of tiny little details. I love these gauntlets right here with the Cobra symbols. And I think I'm very impressed with the way that Hasbro has very cleanly painted so many raised Cobra symbols on this figure. And usually something like this would be a mess at this scale. But for it to be a mass market paint job, I mean, these are pretty good. They're not perfect by any means, but they're pretty good. As well as that silver trim right there. Now it gets a little messy in some spots, like up here where it's just a little off track. But to be a $20 figure, I mean, these are some very nice deco hits all the way around. Also, moving on, we have Cobra Commander's gloves. Nothing really to write home about there. And I like this one in particular, because even without anything in it, it's the I want to rule the world hand. So I absolutely love it. Moving on, there's not much to write home about most of the pants, but have a look at the side. That same snakeskin pattern with the scales continues. And we also have this red, and it just makes the whole thing pop. So any way that I can get Cobra Commander posed slightly to the side to see that stripe, I love doing that because it just makes the whole thing kind of just burst. On down to the boots, we continue the trend of having a little bit of techiness to the boots, but these are actually pretty normal. It's kind of funny because out of all the characters released so far, Cobra Commander has the most normal boots. I don't really know what that means. He does have some pointy little toes though down here. And I think this does go with kind of the snake motif because it's all segmented. It looks kind of armored. And like I said, they're kind of pointy. So he's got some witchy points to the shoes. You can see it in particular when you take it to the side right here. Definitely a very pointy kind of look, but I like that. You can see where it's got a strap that kind of keeps it braced on. I love the details in the back where the boots you can see have just a little bit of a fold in them. On the bottoms, nothing to write home about there. But overall, the sculpting on this Cobra Commander, I mean, whether you're into classified or not, you cannot deny the kind of love and the intention that Hasbro has here, because this is one of their by far most intricate sculpts. And like several other figures in classified so far, it is a 100% tool. This is brand new, and we're already seeing that in the space of just a few months, there are already 2 other versions about to be made available of this Cobra Commander. So that tells you that they really need to make their money back fast. All right, looking at Cobra Commander's articulation, we will just have a quick look at what he can and cannot do. The head has plenty of great range because of the hinge on the inside, so he can look really far up. He can really bury his chin deep down, and I mean just as far as he can humanly go, and that's all because of that great hinge on there. You can do a little bit of to the side action on both ways, and of course it turns all the way around. We do have butterfly joints that are very slight but very effective. We can go in a little bit and go out. We can go all the way around if we need to. Because of the sculpting, it does kind of go off to the side a little once you get it up there. We also have a cut, like a swivel right here at the upper part of the arm. We do have a wonderful double joint, and these are so effective. You can have Cobra Commander practically get the gun all the way behind his head, and it's as effective a double joint as you could possibly get in an elbow and a 6-inch action figure. We also have a hinge down here that allows the hand to go up and down like this. And we also, of course, have a swivel there. The hands are completely removable, and we'll get into that in accessories. And of course, there is an ab crunch, and mine was kind of tight, so you might have to work with it a little, but you can crunch him pretty far, like that. I mean, especially to have that much sculpt, I went further than I thought it would. And then you can go back pretty far too, but it starts to look a little unnatural when this part juts out. It's kind of like Cobra Commander has like a square gut coming forward, but it looks pretty natural if you keep it like this. Now, keeping it at the midpoint, it really lines up very well, and I actually don't want to break that sculpt up very much, especially because the bandolier here does a good job of hiding the line. So I don't really want him to be jutted forward much and it to be all broke up. I kind of like to keep it this way. We do have a waist cut, but it's kind of hard to access because this is a solid rubber overlay over it. But it's there, and as you can see, it functions very well. Mine was a little stuck, so I had to work with it. And you can actually get that same kind of tilt we've been getting with the other G.I. Joe figures. But like I said, rubber overlay limits it just a little bit. We do have drop down hips, so you can drop this down, and he can go up quite a ways, but not like some of the other ones have been able to. And it's because this rubber piece is forcing the leg down a little, but it still goes up plenty more than many of the others that we've seen over the years that have an overlay on them. We also have some splits that he can do. Especially if you drop those hips down, it helps a little bit, but because of the overlay piece, this is about as good as you're going to get. But honestly, wouldn't it look ridiculous if Cobra Commander was doing like incredible splits? Yeah, I think it would look a little silly. Okay, we do have a cut up here at the upper thigh. It can go all the way around. We do have a wonderful double joint right here at the knee, and he can kick his own butt with great ferocity. So, I mean, just like the elbows, I think that the knees are just about as good a double joint as you could possibly get at this scale. And of course, we have a swivel at the boot. And down here, we have a very effective set of ankle articulation. Not only is there a great hinge that can take the foot really far down and really far up, but there's also an excellent swivel at the ankle. So Cobra Commander can get some of the craziest poses you can imagine, and he can actually hold them. First try. No cuts. Seriously though, the articulation on this guy is absolutely killer. Love it, love it. Looking at some of the accessories, Cobra Commander has some really fun stuff. You could count, I suppose, this whole harness thing as an accessory, but we've already talked about it in great detail. Let's start by looking at this wild gun that he comes with. I know that people aren't very fond of some of the unrealistic weapons that comes in the classified line, but man, this thing is pretty undeniable, guys. I mean, look at the great ornate kind of artistry going on here with this gun. There is a serpent coiled all the way through, and it actually opens its mouth at the end as if it is shooting bullets out of its mouth. There's a knife on the end of it. There is a snake's head for the handle. I mean, this thing is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's true art, and I think that it's just awesome. I don't know about you, but I want this kind of thing way more than I would just like a pirate's pistol. I don't even know, a laser gun. This is the kind of thing that I like right here. So I don't get it that anybody wouldn't like this. I know it's not realistic. I don't want it to be realistic. I want it to be Cobra Commander's insane gun that he has with him. Cobra Commander is the ultimate narcissist. Of course he's going to have an insane gun that is sculpted to look like a snake. Why? Because he can afford it. Or put it on a credit card. Maybe Cobra Commander's broke. Who knows? All right, down here in the scabbard, we will take out Cobra Commander's blade. And once again, this thing follows through. It's not quite as detailed as the crazy gun, but I really do like the sculpting here. I like how it's an atypical shape. It kind of has all these weird curves on it. It makes it look very lethal. It's kind of very jagged looking. There's kind of some serpent teeth down there. There's a handle where you can actually hold it. And then we have this awesome snake's head that makes up the main handle, kind of giving me some Serpentor vibes there with the gold. Looks absolutely terrific. Of course, it fits in the scabbard, and of course, Cobra Commander can hold it in his hand. So we will take the gun out, and we'll put this in, and Cobra Commander looks terrific with it. You can have it over the back like this. You can have it over and gesture with it like that, as if he's about to duel someone. I just think that the possibilities are endless with those two weapon accessories. Cobra Commander does come with a couple of other accessories, and they are his alternate hands. We have this fisted hand right here, but unfortunately there's not two fists with the figure. This is just for his left hand, and it just switches out pretty easily. They still have those kind of abnormally long pegs, but I don't think they're quite as extreme as they were in Wave 1. He also comes with a particular favorite of mine, and that's Cobra Commander's pointing hand. So I like this because if you want Cobra Commander to be as spiteful as I like him to be, I love using stuff like this so that when you put it in, you can get the I want you pose. Cobra needs you. Or you can have him absolutely obliterate his subordinates. There were a couple of opportunities that they had that I would have loved to have seen them taken, and I know it's a $20 figure, but there was a couple of things that maybe I would have liked to have seen. For one thing, I would have really liked a holster for this gun. I would have really liked to have seen that on the standard edition release of this figure, because I hate that you can't store it all. I would have loved to have seen that, and they do such a good job of that on some of the other figures. So I wish that Cobra Commander had had an extra holster perhaps for that. The other big ask that I would have had for this figure, and I know that this might be pushing it, I would have loved a hooded head for Cobra Commander. And, you know, me and Brandon, we've discussed this before, that we're not sure it's like PC anymore for Cobra Commander to wear a hood necessarily, for obvious reasons. But we still always prefer the hooded Cobra Commander look. You know, it's because of the comics. Even Larry Hama himself, as we talked to him a little while back, he told us he loved that hood because you can see Cobra Commander's eyes. It was easier for him to work with as an artist. And so, yeah, I would still love to see a hooded variant of this figure. Come on, Hasbro. All you have to do is just tool a new head. You'll sell 1 million of them. So think about it, guys. I don't know. And we'll do a quick scale comparison between Cobra Commander and the other G.I. Joe classified figures. We'll first start out with Destro. So I'll put Destro right here beside Cobra Commander, and very appropriately, Destro is a good little bit taller than Cobra Commander, and I think that's the way it ought to be. Cobra Commander should be slightly diminutive compared to somebody like Destro, who's kind of a heavy. Next up, we have the new Red Ninja figure, latest army builder. He is built off the Snake Eyes body, thus he is a little bit on the smaller side, but him and Cobra Commander are pretty much level, and I think that's about right. Cobra Commander may have a slight edge in terms of height, but it's only very slight. And if you're as vanilla a G.I. Joe fan as I can be at times, I know you'll want to see Duke alongside Cobra Commander. And you know, there's a reason why these guys are in every new version of G.I. Joe going forward. They are iconic, so just a quick little scale comparison between those guys. I think that it was very intentional that they have them almost eye to eye. You can turn these guys, and I mean, it's the eye level is there. You can turn these guys, and I mean, the eye level is just right on. And I think that that is no accident. I think that that was one thing that they wanted to make sure happened with this release. We'll also take a look at one of the big figures from the G.I. Joe Classified line. And the latest one is, of course, Gung Ho. So we might as well put him in here. He is Cobra Commander's wave mate, after all, for Wave 2. And you can see that Gung Ho is much larger than Cobra Commander. And I think that looks really cool. I think Cobra Commander would soil his suit if Gung Ho were to come at him. So far in our reviews, I've made it no secret that I absolutely love what Hasbro is doing with the classified line so far. Is every move that they've made a perfect move? Of course not. The latest Target exclusive figures have absolutely infuriated and practically torn the fan base apart. I don't think that that's been a very good thing at all. I understand why the exclusives are done, and hopefully they will not be exclusive for very long because they have made it absolutely a miserable thing to get a hold of them. But when you see things like this great Cobra Commander, who's available practically anywhere and is starting to show up at a lot of Target stores, as well as shipping from a lot of places online like Amazon, that's where mine shipped from, and shipping early, by the way. Originally they were slated for November. Then it kind of softens the blow of some of their mistakes that they've made with the line so far. Hopefully they'll continue to learn, and we'll continue to get incredible releases like this Cobra Commander. Cobra Commander is one of my favorite villains in all of fiction, and so it is so great to see him treated with such respect and given the dignity he deserves as an incredible 6-inch action figure. Honestly, I really don't think I could have asked for any better. I think Hasbro has done a terrific job.